Right now, while you're watching this, your breakfast from this morning may still be driving your insulin up 12, and you probably thought it was the healthiest meal of the day.
That single morning meal, the one you've been told to eat for decades, may be the reason you can't lose belly fat, feel exhausted.
But this is fixable, and I'm going to show you exactly what's happening and what to replace it with starting with your very next breakfast tomorrow morning. This channel is for educational purposes. Always consult your own physician. In today's video, I'm going to walk you through the 5 most common breakfast.
Before we get into the list, you need to understand one thing. The morning is the most insulin-sensitive window of the entire day flat, and that cuts both ways. After an overnight fast, your cells are primed. Your insulin receptors are at their most responsive.
But a high-carbohydrate first meal sends a massive insulin signal before 8 a.m. And once insulin spikes early, your body spends the rest of the day chasing that signal.
After 60, insulin sensitivity is already 30 to 40% lower than it was at 40. So the same bowl of oatmeal that...
Your doctor never told you this because glucose gets checked, not insulin. By the time glucose rises, the insulin spike has been happening for years. Let's talk about that spike. I'm about to tell you something important. I want you to stay with me until number 1, because number 1 is not a single food. It's a pattern. For each food I show you, I'm going to tell you what's happening inside your body and exactly what to eat instead because knowing the problem without the solution is useless. Before we start prep, drop a comment right now. How many of these do you eat in a typical morning? Let's start with number 5. This one is sitting in most refrigerators right now, and almost every dietitian in the last 30 years has called it an essential part of a healthy morning.
I'm talking about orange juice. Fresh squeeze, store-bought, no sugar added sling, it doesn't matter. Every glass of orange juice is a sugar. A medium orange has fiber. That fiber is the braking system on sugar absorption. When you squeeze the orange, you remove the brakes. That sugar hits your bloodstream within 15 minutes of drinking it. Your pancreas responds with an immediate insulin spike.
There's something else. There's a second problem with orange juice that almost nobody talks about. It contains high levels of fructose, and fructose bypasses the normal.
Repeated fructose loads teach the liver to convert more sugar to fat. That's one of the primary drivers of visceral fat.
I treated a patient, I'll call him Robert, 69, retired teacher from Ohio. His fasting insulin was 18. His only change was...
Those numbers are well within what we see clinically. Insulin in the 8 to 25 range indicates early resistance.
But what about the vitamin C? I hear this every week. Here's the truth. A single medium orange gives you more vitamin C than a full glass of juice.
Replace the glass with the whole fruit. If you want the juice flavor, squeeze half a lemon or lime into water, 0 sugar, actual liver detoxification benefit, no insulin signal.
Orange juice is a 5 on this list because the fix is simple. Number 4 is harder to avoid because it sits in your pantry labeled as heart-healthy pollen, and it's everywhere.
Number 4. This is the food that the American Heart Association has endorsed for 30 years. It has whole grain on the label. It has a picture of a heart.
I'm talking about boxed breakfast cereals. Corn flakes, bran flakes, even most high-fiber cereals preed. If it comes out of a...
Here's what processing does to whole grain. In its natural form, grain has a fibrous matrix digestion.
Corn flakes have a glycemic index of 81. White sugar sits at 65. You are eating something that hits your bloodstream.
The low-fat dietary era of the 1980s is directly responsible for this. When fat was demonized, food companies replaced...
I think about Dorothy, 72, a retired nurse. Her fasting insulin came in at 21. Her HbA1c was 5.9, borderline. Dorothy switched to 2 eggs with spinach and a handful of walnuts. No cereal, no juice. 8 weeks later...
Research in metabolic medicine suggests that repeated post-meal insulin spikes from refined cereals are a primary contributor to insulin.
Here's a quick rule I give every patient. If a food has a health claim on the packaging, turn it over and look at the grams of sugar per serving.
The replacement is not complicated. Eggs, whole eggs, not just whites, with a fat source like avocado, olive oil or cheese.
Number 3 is more surprising than number 4, Huff, because most people eating it believe they are doing something actively good for their body. They bought it at a health food store. They paid more for it. And the worst part? Number 3 is one I used to recommend myself in my early years of practice, before the research on postprandial insulin.
Number 3, flavored yogurt and commercial granola, sold in health food stores, eaten by millions of seniors who are genuinely trying to take care of themselves.
Let's separate them. Flavored yogurt first. Plain Greek yogurt is a legitimate
The moment a manufacturer adds fruit flavoring, sugar, or fruit syrup to that yogurt pakyo, the metabolic profile changes in testrus. Commercial granola has the same fundamental problem. Oats, honey, dried fruit, maple syrup. Each ingredient is individually marked. Dried fruit is particularly misleading. Raisins, cranberries, apricots in granola faux. Drying removes water and Here's what happens when you combine flavored yogurt with granola for breakfast. Sugar from the yogurt hits first, driving an immediate insulin spike. That prolonged insulin elevation suppresses fat burning for the entire morning. Your body cannot burn stored fat while insulin is elevated. It's biologically impossible.
I think about Patricia, 64, a yoga instructor, someone you'd never expect to have metabolic issues. She ate yogurt and granola every morning for 4 years.
Her fasting glucose was 94, completely normal. Her doctor told her she was fine. We ran a fasting insulin. It came back at 16.
Patricia switched to plain Greek yogurt for no flavoring tights with a tablespoon of walnuts and half a cup of blueberries.
The fix is straightforward. Plain Greek yogurt, a full-fat gluten with fresh berries and a handful of nuts. High protein.
When buying yogurt, one rule. Check the label for added sugars. If added sugars exceed 5 grams, put it back. We are now moving into the top 2, and I want to be honest with you about number 2. This is the one that frustrates me the most hot because it is warm, it is comforting, it is marketed specifically to older adults with heart disease and diabetes.
Number 2, instant oatmeal. This is the breakfast that more seniors over 60 eat than almost any other tuss, and it is doing significant metabolic damage.
Before I go further, I want to be precise, Pi, because this matters. Steel-cut oats are a different food than instant oatmeal.
Steel-cut oats have a glycemic index of about 42. That's manageable for most people over 60. Instant oats are pre-gelatinized during manufacturing. That means your digestive enzymes can break them down almost immediately. Within 20 minutes of eating, you're looking at a cigarettes. And the flavored packets add another layer. Maple and brown sugar, apple cinnamon, peaches and cream. Each packet adds 12.
Remember what I told you at the beginning, the morning is the most insulin-sensitive window. Eating instant oatmeal first thing sets off a hormonal cascade that follows you through the entire day. You've experienced this. You eat oatmeal at 7 a.m. and by 10 a.m. you're hungry again. That's not weakness. That's insulin crashing back down, pulling your blood sugar below baseline.
So you reach for a snack. The snack spikes insulin again. Insulin suppresses fat burning again.
I want to tell you about James, 66, a retired engineer, physically active, no family history of diabetes.
James came to me because he couldn't lose weight despite walking 6 miles a day. He was frustrated. He felt like his body was broken.
Clagers. A fasting insulin of 19 with that glucose level gives a HOMI-IR of 4.5. That is significant insulin resistance.
We removed the instant oatmeal, replaced it with 3 eggs, half an avocado, and black coffee. Same caloric range, completely different hormonal signal.
10 weeks later, fasting insulin at 9, HOMA-IR 2.1. He had lost 11 pounds a town. Here's why the walking wasn't working before. Exercise is excellent for insulin sensitivity, but if you're spiking insulin 3 to 4 times a day from food, the muscle benefit of walking gets overwhelmed.
If you genuinely love oatmeal and won't let it go chout, there is a safer version. Steel-cut oats, cooked in water.
The chia seeds add soluble fiber that slows glucose absorption. The protein powder blunts the insulin response by triggering a competing satiety.
Here's the simplest self-test I can give you. If you eat breakfast and you're hungry again within 2.5 hours, your breakfast is spiking your insulin. Now, I said number 1 is not a single food, Nen. It's a pattern. And I want you to think about the foods we've covered so far. Juice, cereals. They all come with a health claim. They're all marketed as the right choice for older adults. They all represent what the nutritional establishment recommends. Number 1 is not oatmeal. Number 1 is not juice. Number 1 is the reason all of these foods are in your kitchen right now, right? Number 1, the low-fat, high-carbohydrate breakfast paradigm. The entire dietary pattern that has been sold to seniors for 4 decades.
This pattern was officially codified in the 1977 U.S. Dietary Guidelines. The core message, reduce it. What that framework never measured was the insulin response to those recommended carbohydrates. Because insulin wasn't seen as the problem. Since 1977, rates of insulin resistance in adults over 60 have risen by more than 200%. After 60, 3 things converge. Insulin receptor sensitivity declines, muscle mass decreases, which is your prime.
The result is that a dietary pattern that was mildly problematic at 50 becomes actively harmful at 65. Most patients I see over 65 with insulin resistance are not people who ate poorly their whole lives. They are people. This is what frustrates me most in clinical practice. These patients did what they were told. They deserve to know the truth. Once you understand that the problem is not individual foods, but a structural pattern, high carbohydrate, low fat, no protein anchor. Principle 1, protein at breakfast is not optional after 60. It is the single most important lever you have for insulin stability throughout the day.
Protein triggers a different satiety pathway than carbohydrates. It activates glucagon, the hormone that opposes insulin, and it stimulates.
Eggs are the most bioavailable source. 3 whole eggs provide about 18 grams of complete protein with natural fat.
Principle 2, dietary fat does not raise insulin. This is perhaps the most important thing I can tell you. Fat slows gastric emptying and creates zero insulin signal.
Avocado, olive oil, nuts, full-fat dairy, these belong in your morning meal. They create satiety without insulin elevation. They are the metabolic opposite of a bowl of cereal.
Principle 3, no liquid sugar in the morning. Orange juice, flavored coffee drinks, sweetened teas. Any beverage with
Nips. Water, black coffee, unsweetened green tea, Cara, these are your morning beverage options. Coffee specifically has been shown to improve.
If you're going to include any carbohydrates in your breakfast, apply this sequence. Eat fiber first, a handful of berries or vegetables.
Hindrance. Research in postprandial glucose management shows that eating fiber and protein before carbohydrates reduces the glucose spike.
The single most powerful change you can make starting tomorrow morning is this. Replace whatever carbohydrate is at the center of your breakfast.
I've seen that single change, protein at breakfast Rexus, reduce fasting insulin by 20 to 35%.
The first thing most patients notice is not weight loss, it's energy. The 10 a.m. crash disappears. The afternoon.
The second thing patients report is that nighttime cravings, the urge to eat after 8 p.m., diminish significantly. That's because significantly. By week 6 to 8, most patients start to see movement on the scale, specifically in abdominal circumference. Visceral fat responds first.
In my practice, the typical patient who applies these breakfast changes see fasting insulin drop from the 15 to 20.
Below 2 on HOMA-IR is the threshold where insulin resistance is no longer clinically significant. It's the difference between a body and chronic inflammation. Everything I've described, belly fat that won't move, fatigue after eating, brain fog, stubborn weight, those are not symptoms of aging. Your doctor is not going to order a fasting insulin panel unless you ask for it specifically. It's not in the standard annual blood work. Ask your doctor for a fasting insulin test. Not just fasting glucose, not just HbA1c, fasting insulin, if they don't know why you're asking. So let me bring this full circle. The reason all 5 foods on this list exist in your kitchen is because they were all born from the same flawed framework. 40 years of clinical evidence now contradicts that framework of Boz, specifically for insulin response after 60. Let me recap what we covered. Number 5, orange juice den, liquid fructose with no fiber, immediate insulin spike, primary drive. Number 4, boxed cereals marketed as heart healthy. Replace with eggs and a fat source. Number 3, flavored yogurt and commercial granola, combined sugar load of 30 to 40 grams in a single bowl, prolonged insulin elevation, fat burning suppressed for the morning. Number 2, instant oatmeal pods, pre-gelatinized starch with a glycemic index approaching white bread packets. And number 1, the low-fat, high-carbohydrate breakfast pattern cans, the structural framework that made all 4 previous foods. Here's what I want you to hold on to. Your body is not broken. It is responding exactly as biology predicts when it receives. You did not fail. You followed advice that was built on an incomplete measurement. The people who gave you that advice were not wrong about everything. They were wrong about the most important variable. And that variable is fixable. The insulin system is remarkably responsive to dietary changes, or often other biomarker in the body. The question is no longer, is my glucose normal? The question is, what is my fasting insulin? Those are different questions. In the next video on this channel, I'm going to show you exactly why belly fat after 60 is not a calorie problem, it's an insulin problem. If you are not subscribed, please do it now, Wav, and turn on notifications. I post specific evidence-based content about. If this video gave you information your doctor has never walked you through, hit the like button. It tells the algorithm to show this to other seniors who are flying blind on insulin. That matters. Drop a comment right now. Tell me how many of the 5 foods on this list are in your current breakfast routine. Type the number 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. I read every comment on this channel. And if you have someone in your life over 60 who is still eating the healthy breakfast, a spouse, a sibling, a friend, share this video with them.